The Kentucky Small Business Development Center is a statewide, nationally accredited program that provides no-cost, confidential business coaching and training services. Whether you're just getting started or are ready to expand, we have the tools, resources, and expertise to help you succeed. We're part of a national network, America's SBDC, with over 1,000 centers across the nation. To learn more about how the Kentucky SBDC can serve you, please visit KentuckySBDC.com or email us at info@KentuckySBDC.com. You can also reach us by calling 888-414-7232. Thank you for joining today's webinar. The chat feature is available for you to ask questions and interact with today's speaker. Please take a moment to introduce yourself and where you are watching from today.
Hey, welcome everybody. I am Dave Etkin. I'm the director here at the Louisville Small Business Development Center. We are one of 14 centers across the state of Kentucky, and we are glad you're here today. We're here for another Wednesday webinar. And just to make sure, because we always want to make sure that we're overcoming our technical issues. If you look down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the chat feature there, the little chat button. If you don't see the toolbar down there, just take your cursor and hover down there. It should pop right up. And click on chat. And if you wouldn't mind, just tell me hello and where you're joining from, and just to make sure that you can see and hear us just as well as you can. So it's always kind of fun for me to see where everybody joins from. We get people from all over the country sometimes, and sometimes the world. So that's awesome. So let's see. We've got John Crisante Nouvelle. Just had some wine at your place the other day. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining. Rachel from Somerset, and Janet just and Janet's here today. She just reminded me that today is SBDC Day, National SBDC Day. So thanks for joining us today, everyone. Greenup, Kentucky. I hope Gigi from Louisville Ford. Good to see you, Gigi. Mustafa, good to see you. It's been a while since I've talked to you, so glad to see you're doing well. As we go through our presentation today, if you have any questions or comments for our presenter, just put them here in the chat as well, and we'll get them to the end. And also, another thing that I'd like to ask a little favor of you guys, if you wouldn't mind, at the end, you'll see a survey pop up. Just if you would help us out, take that survey. It helps us improve the things we offer to you guys. So, one of the biggest things that is on every small business's mind is how to market your business cheaply and effectively. And I met our presenter today, Megan Widmer, who is just one of those people. She has a lot of she has a great, interesting background. She's been in retail for many years, but she just recently left her corporate gig, and she's started her own business, worked up while she had a full-time job, and she's really figured things out, how to create a lot of buzz for your business, and this is so important. So Megan, how are you today?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Megan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing what you know and what you've learned, because you have decided, as you were working a corporate job, you have decided that you wanted to go out on your own, and you were very intentional about it. I really respect your journey. You started very small and kept your job and worked up to it, and then finally you just said goodbye to the man. You moved on, and now you're on it. So I think that'd be great for people to hear how you did it and talk about your success. So Megan, if you wouldn't mind, just share your screen and let's just jump right in and see how you can create some buzz for your business. This is, I'm ready to go here. I've got my notepad out and I'm going to take a bunch of notes myself.
Great. Yeah, let's jump right in. So hi, I'm Megan. And as Dave kind of gave me a little bit of an intro, you all heard that I've been in corporate retail for the last 12 years of my life. And I really just kind of hit a breaking point through the pandemic. I was working from home and I was just like, I feel like there's something bigger for me out there. But since I've been in planning, and I'm currently financially planning was currently financially planning for the business that I just left. And I'm a very meticulous planner. Wanted to make sure I had my finances in order, my plans in place before I left. So I spent the last couple of years developing and building 2 brands from the ground up. Lily and Rose Co., which is now developed into a business consulting company. And my main hustle now is Hard Times Collective. So we have been hosting, me and my business partner, pop-up market events in the Louisville area for the last year. We've gained thousands of followers on our social media and through email networking, and generating a profit. So being able to do those things in my free time while I was still working my full-time job, building up that business plan, and then finally being able to take that leap and quit my corporate job and take my side hustle full time. So I'm so excited to be able to finally do that. And I want to share some of the things that I've learned and some of the specifics that I've put in place in my businesses to help build buzz through marketing and really try to help build my business and my consumer base from the ground up. So I'm excited to share that with you. I'll jump right in here. So how do we build buzz through some new marketing methods for our small businesses out there? So really when I was trying to jump into this, it was the middle of the pandemic. Consumer behavior was up and down and all around on a roller coaster. Essentially, they had money, they didn't. Prices were unpredictable as well. We experienced a rise of the cost of goods, irregular shipping, freight expense increases, our gas prices went up, and interest rates went up. So all the things are happening out there that were impacting our consumer spending. And really what we're trying to do here is the goal is to help your marketing funds stretch further with the increased cost and maybe some less income coming through the doors, especially during January and February. We know those months are hard from a retail perspective. So what can we do during those slower months to be able to generate some more customer interest? And I think I have some really good ideas for you through these 4 methods that I'm about to tell you. And it'll help ultimately gain market share by spending less or efficiently, and will help to build brand trust as well as consumer loyalty. So my first method here is creating an omni-channel strategy. And I feel like this buzzword has been around maybe for the last decade. Started hearing about it in the early 2010s when I first got into corporate retail. And I think it's become a little bit more mainstream. So omni-channel marketing is creating this curated and cohesive brand and shopping experience for your customer. So it's really every moment your customer is touching or experiencing your brand, you want to make sure they are having a consistently unified and positive experience with that. So really a big piece of that is finding your brand voice, finding that consistent brand message across your website, your email marketing, social media. If you have a blog or a podcast, if you're generating coupons or flyers or really anything that your customer is touching. So, and even as your customer walks through the door and they have an interaction with you or any of your customer service associates. So any kind of interaction that your customer is having with your brand, we want to make sure they're having a positive experience and that it is in line with your brand message that you want to convey. So if you feel like this is an area of opportunity for you, I have created a freebie guide that I will be giving away to all at the end of this webinar. I'll give you all the info of how to receive that from me. My freebie guide is for building your brand voice, finding and building your brand voice. So if you're interested in that, I will give you more info at the end. Step number 2, let's make sure we're leveraging our social media. So I'm sure most of you all have some type of social media for your businesses, whether it be Facebook or Instagram. And now a new standard is TikTok, which I know is I'm in my 30s and I'm a millennial, and TikTok still is a little foreign and scary to me, but you know, you gotta dip your toes in the water, see what those kids are doing out there. I always find myself having to grow and evolve as a business owner. And even though TikTok is foreign, had to try to get involved with that platform and see what it was all about. So what is relevant to your customer and to your customer's interest when we're on those platforms? What type of content are you creating to interact with your customer? We really want to make sure that the content that you are putting out there is an extension of your brand and your customer's lifestyle. So you want it to make sense for both of those things. And so what you're putting out, whether it be a reel or a poll or a teaser or whatever it is, you want that to make sense for all of those things. So some examples of this. For my specific customer, since I resell vintage and secondhand clothing in Hard Times Collective, we do things like shop along with me behind the scenes at a thrift store. So the customer really gets to feel like they're with me on that journey as I'm finding products for our store. Or I do a thing on my stories where I call it a game, and they get to play love it or leave it. So I take pictures of items that I find, whether they're like goofy or funny or like a really awesome find at the thrift store, and they get to vote. So I put up a poll and it's love it or leave it. And the fact that they get to interact and feel like that they're part of that process with me behind the scenes really is a fun thing for them. And even though it's not selling my product specifically, it's an extension of my brand and behind the scenes experience that they get to have. So that's just an example of how I leverage my social media. I love working on Instagram because it does give you the measurable behind the scenes. If you make a reel or a post and you can go in and check your analytics, I love numbers. I love to see how my reels and my posts are performing with my customer base and be able to see how many people liked it, how many people viewed it, how many people shared it, all those things. And it really gives you a gauge for your business of what content you're creating is working or not working. And that's really important to be able to have those measurable tactics on your tool belt, if you will. So I think that's another great thing. Another way to leverage social media that might be kind of outside the box thinking is to partner with a social media micro influencer. So there's actually a website out there in the universe I'll tell you about. You can type in Louisville micro influencers, and it tells you who on Instagram has how many followers they have. And if they have over like 5,000 to 10,000 followers, that's kind of a safe range for that micro influencer group where they're well known out there, but they're not so huge that they won't even give you the time of day, if that makes sense. So finding a social media influencer to partner with that makes sense for your brand and your customer base, and it helps you to work with each other to be able to share both of your brands. So an example is I was hosting an event and I found a social media influencer that catered to my customer base, and we partnered with them. So I said, I will give you a free ticket to my event if you host a giveaway for me this week. So we gave away, I think it was $100 gift card to spend at our event. And then the giveaway post went into play. And what happens is the customers have to follow everyone involved. So I increase followers. And every time I partner with this influencer, I gain at least 300 to 500 new followers just from that giveaway post. It's been incredibly successful for me. And then we also create some interactive content where we can talk in the comments and interact with our customers. And then ultimately someone wins the giveaway prize. And it's so fun to meet the customers that win when they come in and they're so thankful. And it's such a fun, positive experience for everybody. So that's another way to leverage your social media. I really think building this interactive content and talking with your customer online builds your brand trust. And when they trust your brand, they become more loyal, and repeat customers, repeat transactions happen. And that's the ultimate goal. Okay, number 3, boots on the ground. So in other words, go out there, get out there and network, talk to people. Meet your customer in their neighborhood. Go to bars and coffee shops and whatever it may be, where you can find your customer out there in the wild. Meet with local business owners where your business is located. Make those connections. It's so important to be able to talk about your business, let them know what you're doing, and just keep that name relevant. And while you're doing this, you could provide free samples of your products, discounts, coupons, whatever it may be, to try your product or services. And business cards are key. So I always bring business cards with me, making sure that I'm exchanging contact information to be able to follow up on potential future partnerships with any of those people. And you might surprise yourself. You might actually make friends. I love the network that I've built so far just by going out and talking to people about my business. And really, you'll be surprised how many people are like, hey, I know this person, and maybe this person could help you. Or you become really, really good friends with those people. And if they help you out, you can help them out, et cetera. And it's just great to have that kind of network, another tool on your tool belt, if you will. So like I said, you could pass out specific samples or discounts. You also can generate flyers about your business, whether it be about a specific event or just getting the word out about your business or your services or what you're doing. That's something that we produce with Hard Times Collective, is a flyer that we'll put out in our coffee shops and in bars and music scene, et cetera, wherever your customer is shopping, and it would be relevant to find them there. So those flyers, another what do you want to call it, secret, I guess, that has worked for us is we've created our own QR code that we put on the flyer, and our customer is able to scan the QR code. It will take them directly to our Instagram page, and they can like us, follow us, etc. You can also link to your own personal website where they could put in their email address. You could collect their contact information. They can sign up for text messages or email newsletters, whatever it may be. I think being able to have that direct connection with that consumer, get them immediately on your website, social media, and interacting, the easier you can do that, the better. And then if they sign up for your email blast or text messages, then you could send them a coupon for an in-store only purchase. So that would get them into the store. So that's what we call this treasure hunt flyer experience. So it's leading from an in-person QR code scan to a social media interaction touch point that leads them to a in-store purchase. So trying to get your consumer to engage across all channels and experience your brand through that in-person interaction. All right, so my last and final key touch point here is creating experiences. And this is truly my favorite piece of the pie. I love creating and hosting events. That's really what I've been doing for the last year of my life. With Hard Times Collective, we host pop-up events. We've been 1020 Brewery in Butchertown has kindly hosted us for the last year. We do a one-day pop-up event where we bring in 20 to 30 vendors. So they're vintage, secondhand, local artists. They pop up, bring their goods in. Our customer base can come in and shop. They also can drink a beer. They can eat some food with the two in-house vendors. We always create a photo booth experience with a professional photographer. We have a DJ for the whole time. So really trying to create this unique experience that they can come in and feel our brand in a new way. And they aren't even coming into our brick and mortar space. This is a brand extension that we're offering and as a pop-up experience. So my urge for you all is to figure out how you can create an event that's brand adjacent to your, whether it's a retail space or a restaurant or whatever services you provide, to be able to get involved with other local businesses in your community and create some kind of experience that they can shop or engage in, really to start to interact with your brand. And being able to do this and partnering with other people all the people that you just met in your boots on the ground experience, that you've expanded your network, you can reach out to those people and call on them and say, hey, do you want to partner with us on this? Would you like to sponsor our event? And by sponsoring, we mean they can either provide something, they can show up and vend, they could rent a booth space from us, they could provide some kind of other service for the experience that the customer is coming in for. And in that, you're partnering together, they get exposure through our sponsorship list. Sometimes we will create social media posts to highlight our sponsors, just depending on what kind of negotiation we come up with. But the goal is to offset some of your cost for throwing the event by being able to partner with other local businesses so they can cover some of the cost and everybody kind of wins from that situation. I think I touched on all of this stuff. I mean, there is, as you offer ticket sales for your events, you can offer different kinds of tickets. So you can upsell to a VIP ticket experience where maybe they get a VIP bag with some giveaway items, so they can pay a little bit more for more features and benefits from your event. Maybe they're allowed to enter the event first, or they get the first hour to themselves, or maybe they get extra access to different workshops or a meet and greet with certain vendors or whatever it may be. Okay, let's see a little bit more here. Like I said, this is my favorite topic. I use Eventbrite for my event creation and ticket sales. It really helps a lot of people use this platform. It's easy to share the link. It's easy to create the event. It's really easy to use. Highly recommend. If anybody ever has questions about it, please reach out. I use it all the time. Like I said, the goal is to partner with some other businesses to help share the cost of your event. And really, as you're working on curating these experiences, you learn how to gain income through offsetting the costs through all of these tools, if you will. One of my other tips is to host these events during your slow months. So if January and February are really slow, well, maybe that's when you host an event. So that's bringing in new customers, getting your brand in front of their faces again, and just kind of getting whole new brand awareness during that time when they might not be normally shopping or experiencing your brand. So I think if you can coordinate that seems like the best time for me, really, to be able to offset during a slow period and some slower income months to be able to generate some more income for your business. All right, that's it, guys. I think I went through that so fast. I would love to talk to you all, answer questions. But really, here's my recap. So here are my 4 key things: create omni-channel strategy, leverage social media, get your boots on the ground, and create memorable experiences. That's going to build buzz for your brand and your business. And through doing that, I think really we'll be able to save you some money and build some brand awareness, brand trust, consumer loyalty, and hopefully just build some buzz for your business. Hey, Dave, thank you for jumping in here. I will go over to my next slide real quick. Love to answer any questions that you guys have. And then at the very end, I will give you all my contact information and details of how to get my freebie.
You've always obviously been doing this for a bit, and I think you've learned a lot what works. But when you were first getting started, I mean, what was the first thing you did, to kind of push things forward? I mean, I think some people on here are just now starting out. Other people be more experienced, but I'd like to start, if I was at ground zero, what would be the first thing you would tell me to look at? Where would I start?
Ooh, it's only been 2 years, but it's hard to even bring myself back there. Before you do anything, you sit down and create a brand guide or figure out, what are you selling? What's your product or service? Who is your customer? How do you fit into the market? And how are you to differentiate yourself? And I know that's kind of a generalizing, but if you create that business plan, I think that's what you need to figure out first. That is at the core of success. And then once you figure that out, that's when you can start to build your brand logo. I recommend starting small when it comes to building out product or services. Start with a small batch to test and react, and get it in front of your friends and your family and initial customers. Get feedback, ask a ton of questions. How can you improve? How can you make this better? Would you recommend this product or service to other people? So those are the kind of things that I'm thinking in the beginning. You start small, be conservative. And then once you build a product or service that you're proud of and you know is successful, that's when you can take it bigger.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm really curious about, so do you start with the product or service, or do you start with what you are trying to accomplish? There's I guess I'm not explaining it great, but the idea of, what do you stand for, I guess, is that more important than what you have to sell?
I think what I've read is that you're trying to find a product or service. You are solving a problem for your customer. So you're creating something unique out there in the world, or if it already exists, what makes your product or service unique for your customer to solve a problem that they might have. So for me, for example, in vintage and secondhand resale, our customers are looking for a sustainable secondhand. Maybe they are looking for a more affordable way to fulfill their style, and they can come in and have a unique experience where we measure them and help style, and they have all of these options to choose from. And we don't feel like that experience truly exists out there in Louisville. So they can come have a unique styling experience in our location. So, and that's not a great way of explaining it, but like, you have to come up with, I'm offering this service, and here is what it's going to do for my customer. Mm-hmm. It's the second part that's, I think, more important. It's not just, well, I love making earrings, so I'm going to make earrings and sell them. It's, I'm going to make these unique earrings because this product does not exist for my customer. Gotcha.
Yeah, the problem solving is more important than the product itself. Yeah. Dana asks, do you have any suggestions or tips for online course sales or book sales?
Ooh. I personally don't have any experience with that. I'll just be completely brutally honest. What I've done in my past is I leverage social media to launch a program or a service or whatever it is. And that's where my customer base lives currently, that's how I interact with my network and my customers. So I would do it that way. But that's just my own personal experience. So you'd have to figure out how are you communicating with your customers? Is it email? Is it in person? Whatever it is, that's how you want to deliver and market your goods. So I probably would have some photography, I would have some video, and I would have some verbiage, all of those things to describe what you're offering, and be able to give some teasers out there, say, hey, here's a little tidbit of what I'm offering. Do you want some more? Please sign up for my online, whatever. I don't know. That's just an example. I mean, I think that's a little bit more of an in-depth question. I'd love to be able to help you offline. I do business consulting. I love to be able to provide any marketing advice, whether it be leveraging social media. I can definitely help you do that to launch any kind of product or service online.
Back to you were talking about the boots on the ground. How important do you think that is?
Incredibly important. I personally, I'm the kind of person, so I told you I have a business partner. She is the introvert. I am the extrovert. I am the one that's out there, and I want to meet and greet and talk to everybody. I want to tell the whole world about my business. And I think that word of mouth marketing has been underrated. And I think a lot of people in society today use social media and email marketing as kind of like a crutch, or almost maybe feel like that's necessary these days. Right. But I think coming back to talking face to face is so much more important to be able to build those connections with people. And if you want to do partnerships with other brands, meeting the person and interacting goes so much further than sending them an email. So I personally feel that way. Maybe you're emailing in the beginning to be like, hey, I found you. Let's talk. I would love to meet in person. Let's grab a cup of coffee and we can talk about future opportunities together, or whatever it is. And then go from there. Let's meet in person, and don't go through your whole sales speech on your email.
All right. I think that's a great point you made, because I think so many people just hide behind their social media without, personally engaging with their customer. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, with their customer, or, with other ways, network with other businesses or what, either way. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Gigi says, what advice would you have for someone without strong writing skills to develop the business plan? Yeah.
Sure. Well, I always have told myself, try it at least twice yourself before going to another person and asking for help. But you're not always going to succeed on your own. But try it at least twice. It's because I think so many people will try at least one time and they're like, oh, I'm terrible at this, I give up. And I'm guilty of that myself. And then I have to be like, okay, I'm trying again. At least try twice. So, and that's the logic or whatever I use, the rules I made for myself when I write a blog, because I'll be writing and I'm like, blah, 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 getting all my things out. And then I'm like, okay, I got to go back, revise it one more time before I ever send it off to anybody or put it out into the universe. Because you always can make it better the second time.
Yeah.
And then if you get there and you're like, well, this still isn't working, then reach out to someone who's done it before. Find a mentor. Go to the small business development center and ask for help. They have great resources. Finding a mentor, finding a friend, or finding another small business owner that's done it, that could help you and advise you through it, I think is a great way. And if you have the financial resources, there are people that can write copy for you or help you walk through some of those things. If you don't feel like you have those skills.
Mm-hmm. Have you used a copywriter in the past?
I have not, but that's just solely because I do not have the finances to do that. I mean, just to be honest, in the early days of business, you're a little scrappy.
Yeah.
You gotta figure it out on your own.
Right.
So you got to try to make your dollar stretch further. And that was just one place that I'm like, I got to figure out how to do this on my own. That's one place that I'm not spending. And later, once you have more money in your pocket, then you can start to prioritize, okay, well, I know my copywriting could be better, and this is not one of my skills. And if you have the funds to be able to invest in that, and you really think that's going to help build your brand awareness or fine tune your brand voice, then I would say that investment is worth it at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when you got started writing your posts and your copy, I mean, were you a good writer prior, or did you just learn over time, or did you go somewhere for other resources?
I think I'm an okay writer. I think I've been writing. I've journaled my whole life. I'm not a quick-witted person, and I always kind of fell back on that. I'm not funny enough to be a writer. But I think what I found out is that I've just had to speak from my heart and also speak from my brand voice. So when I feel like those two things are working and flowing, then my consumer is like, okay, I can trust her.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's what has worked for me. I'm not saying I'm a perfect writer or anything, but just be yourself and your brand voice will come through.
So do you get criticism, and how do you take that from some of your comments and things? Is that
Do
an
I get
issue?
criticism?
Yeah.
I think everybody gets a little bit of
Yeah.
criticism. I think the hardest struggle that I've come up against is dealing with imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
And if y'all don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's kind of like, I'm a fraud. How could I get here? Like, I don't know anything. I'm just doing this as I go. And how could I possibly be a leader? So I kind of have to pep talk myself every day. I had to pep talk myself before I got on here with y'all to be like, okay, I know what I'm talking about. And I'm always learning. Like, I will never, even though could you call me an expert? I'm always learning and I'm always growing and evolving. And I think that's important, regardless of what kind of criticism or failure, if you will, that you come up against. You're
Mhm.
always going to pivot and grow and evolve from that experience. And if you don't, I think that's probably the detrimental part.
Mhm. Mhm. So what has been your pros and cons of having a partner and dividing the work?
That's a good question. Pros, you get to share the workload with somebody.
Mhm.
And I really have loved being able to bounce ideas off of her. We've been able to support each other. Like, if I'm sick one day, she can, help take the load off of, my plate if something needs to be done or whatever it may be. So being able to have that person to be there for you across all experiences has been great. And the cons, I think, would be we don't always agree on everything. So having to work through conflict when we want to go two different directions,
Mhm.
it makes it a little bit hard. But I think you just have to learn how to manage that like you would with any working relationship or, any personal relationships. Learn how to over communicate your expectations.
Right.
But other than that, it's been great. I love her. We truly balance each other. Like I mentioned before, she's the introvert and I'm the extrovert, and we kind of balance each other well when it comes to managing all of their responsibilities.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been working together?
We met in September 21, so it's
Mhm.
fresh, very fresh. We just met each other. We both were vending at the Fleur de Flis waterfront market. I'm not sure not all of you are familiar with that, but that's huge vintage outdoor market that happens on the river every Labor Day weekend. We were booth mates and just became fast friends. Like, we talked all day and we're like one of those things, like when like we're going to be best friends forever. And so we had exchanged numbers, and after that, it just kind of like hit the ground running after that.
Mhm. What do you have a process, or what tips would you have for someone looking for other businesses to partner with on different events and other marketing ideas? What do you have, like, tell us how you do that?
Well, like I said, I would reach out to other small businesses in your neighborhood. And if you're in a virtual setting, I would try to find similar businesses that fits within your customer profile. What is your customer doing? What do they do for fun? What other interests do they have? What types of events are they attending? And it could be, and that's really tough, but like, when you're creating like a workshop, or like, what kind of other skills does your customer want to learn? So for example, some workshop experiences would be like a mending workshop, so they could come in and extend the life of their own clothing. Or we could host a styling workshop where they could come in and learn how to put an outfit together. And we could have other vendors and brands involved in that experience. Or something else that we're putting together in our retail store is a poetry slam night. Like, poetry has nothing to do with vintage clothing, but it's just something that our customer would be into and think would be fun. We're also doing spiritual and healing night. So like tarot and aura portraits and Reiki and sound healing. We could host a yoga workshop. So I can't really answer that question broadly. I'm not sure what kind of field you're in or what would make sense for your customer, but those are just some examples of things that we've done for ours. If that makes sense.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see. So Mustafa says, how to market for an up and coming business planning to open doors in a few months. I guess this is part of your 4-step process. What would you advise him to start doing now and the next step and the next step?
Sure. So for opening a store specifically, is that where we're going?
Yeah, in a few months. Yeah, so we have a month.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So let's see. I've already started building a plan for our soft opening and grand opening weekends. And we personally want to do events for that. So when you're trying to open a business for the first time, we wanted to make sure all of our news media is aware, our Chamber of Commerce is aware, creating a press release for the business that's opening. So in a professional way, how are we communicating with our news media and community members? And then being able to reach out to them. So I'm telling anyone and everyone that will listen about my business opening. And then I'm also creating a ticketed timed entry event for our soft opening. So on April 15th in Butchertown from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. or what, we haven't finalized it yet. But what we're doing is we're having a DJ, we're having a photo booth, we're having some vendors come in, we're having food and drink options. They get a VIP bag, they come in and they get a branded Hard Times Collective canvas bag. So it's like a $25 ticket and they get to come in and see it first and they get to have this experience. And obviously they can shop while they're there. So that's what I'm putting together. I'm putting together this grand opening event, well, soft opening. We haven't officially opened yet, but anyway, you could do a ribbon cutting. You can do a radio live remote, so they can come, a person from the radio can come and set up and talk about your business. Any type of free coverage that I can get, I will reach out to my local business networks and be like, hey, spread the word, this thing is happening. What else? I mean, obviously I will be sharing these messages across our social media, email, you'll send out an email blast to your network. And then boots on the ground, flyers. We're going to be creating paper flyers that will go out with all of this information in all of our favorite spots all around town so our customer can find it. And then I'll be creating the Eventbrite event and sharing that as well so people can sign up. So those are some ideas. That's what I'm working on right now.
And this is kind of the process you use when you do a pop-up, right? Yes.
I follow the same methods. So I try to cross all channels, omni-channel strategy, trying to engage with everyone across with a consistent message about what's happening.
And what kind of results do you get on a pop-up?
So I wish there was a better way of measuring, obviously for my own analytical purpose. We don't have like a ticket counter or like a traffic counter at 1020. So we don't technically know how many people have entered this space. We know how many people engaged with our Eventbrite event. We know how many people engaged with the giveaway post. We estimate that 200 to 300 people come through the doors during our 4-hour period of time.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Let's see. I think that's all the questions we have, unless somebody wants to jump in real quick. And I'm surprised no one has asked this, but yes, we will be sending you a recording later on or tomorrow, a recording of our discussion today and Megan's slides. And Megan, if you want to put your contact slide up so that everybody can.
Yes, I would love to. So here is Kayla, my business partner, just in case y'all were curious. Kayla and me, we had a fun photo shoot. And here's my email address, megan.hardtimesco@gmail.com. You can find us. This is a typo. I'm sorry, I'm literally the worst. It's hardtimescollective.com. no dot there. That's our website. And Instagram, you can find us there, hardtimes.collective. Too many dots. And just so you all know, freebie, free guide to finding your brand voice. I have some PDFs that I can send you all. If you email me, megan.hardtimescollective@gmail.com, put building buzz in the subject line, and I will send you a copy of my slides, a link to my blog post that talks about this topic with some more information. And then I'll see the PDF, obviously. Slides, blog, and PDF.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it, really. I would love to talk to y'all. I love meeting new people. I love hearing about other businesses out there, other ideas, other marketing things that you guys are doing that are working. I would love to talk to any and all of you at any point. So feel free to reach out. I'm here.
Yeah, it's, I found that people like you are, in my mind, more valuable than like often just a marketing professional, because you're real time working things out, and you're passionate about it, and that's where this stuff kind of really develops and comes from. So I really appreciate what you do and what you've shared today.
Thank you so much. I was happy to.
Also, don't forget, we'll have a survey here shortly. I think Janet will send that out. And again, we'll send out the slides and the recording later on today, or maybe tomorrow. We're kind of busy today. But thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate everybody showing up today and joining us on another Wednesday webinar. And thank you, Megan, for joining us and sharing today.
Yes, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
And with that, I think we'll sign off. Enjoy your Wednesday, and we'll see you next time.